Hi guys. Um, this week we were able to talk about something pretty exciting, sort of, about traumas and um, not so fluff stories that journalists and reporters have to cover. Um, so a few thoughts that I have on this. Um, Obviously, the journalists face challenges, just like every other field of work. But especially in these circumstances, I would think that journalists truly have a responsibility on their shoulders that a lot of people couldn't carry, like myself. Um, in covering traumas or high stress situations or distressful situations, really, it can almost be nearly impossible to get simple facts like who, what, where, and when. The five big, this victim's name and address, this where they're from, where they were going, why this happened, things like that. Like those answers aren't always on the spot. They aren't always on the scene. They are pieces of information that come as time evolves. And so, as a journalist, trying to be the first to report this story, to report it well, to get facts before other people do, to, be the one on the scene, that would be challenging because a lot of times there is no resolve on these scenes and that these things take time. And not to mention the emotions that a journalist is going through while witnessing some of the circumstances that they do. I think that throughout this chapter and reading and doing more research, I have found a new respect for journalism in that sense. So it's important to look at those little details that are often we just kind of put them to the side and don't really think about the things that they face. Also, in this chapter, we talked a bit about obituaries, which I thought was interesting because, in my experience with family members or loved ones dying, oftentimes we were responsible for writing and submitting the obituary to the local paper or giving the information that we wanted in there. And I think that a lot of times we are very bland in our approach to remembering our loved ones. We are very was this old, died of this, very matter of fact and not super personal. Which I think is different because a lot of times people like to take this opportunity to celebrate lives, and sometimes we just kind of, I don't know, we get into a tradition or a routine with things and we don't sway from the norm or don't stray from the norm. But I think that obituaries would be a really cool place for newspapers and articles and family members and journalists to help express a personal, a passionate, and an influential piece of a person. So I think that that was interesting. But as I said, I haven't necessarily seen a lot of journalists writing obituaries personally. A lot of times, like I said, family members. But recently, a former First Lady passed away, Nancy Reagan. So I thought that this would be an interesting time to kind of look up her obituary and the things that were written about her to be remembered by, or the facts surrounding her death. Um, and I was not disappointed, but interested because it was very matter of fact as well. It was very, she was married to Ronald Reagan, had this many children, died at 94, you know, and, did this, and this, but lacked a sense of her personality, which I personally think that our character and our way that we approach life or approach other people is pretty important. I mean, it's important who we engaged with and who was important to us, but it's also important to get that piece of personality, which I think lacks in a lot of ways in obituaries. So definitely interesting. Um, but like I said, this week was a good week to gain a different perspective. I think that throughout this class and throughout the chapters and reading, that I've been able to gain some different perspectives on uh, subjects like this, and to just think outside of the box. Think of the little things that a reporter might face going onto the scene, emotions that would run through their head as they have to remain stone-faced in the face of high stress, emotion, tragedies, victims, things like that, and to do their job and to do it well, and to not have these other factors playing a role. So a new respect for sure, and I hope that you're all having a good week, and we'll talk to you soon.